Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Uncovering India. We know what is happening around us today with so much of controversy surrounding the Election Commission of India, especially the Chief Election Commissioner, with the opposition labeling the entire controversy as vote chori or theft of vote, as we say. Where recently the leader of opposition um, reportedly brought out evidence regarding theft of vote in one parliamentary and assembly constituency of Bangalore. And currently, with the Bihar elections, the opposition is training its guns full throttle on the ruling party, BJP, and the Election Commission. The Supreme Court has taken strong note of the way the voter roll SIR regarding modifying or re-verification of the uh, voter roll, where huge number of people have been found left out, where the living people have been found dead, or dead people have been labeled as living. So a lot of controversy is happening around the electoral roll. So these controversies regarding election commission is not new. We have been hearing about allegations against the election commissions working for long, and the only perhaps the fresh with the only change that we had seen was that of the former chief election commissioner, the mercurial TN Seshan, thanks to whom we actually came to know that there is something called as election commission. And the way he brought in a change in the way election commission of India is supposed to work has brought the spotlight on working of the office of the election commission of India and the state election commissions. And unfortunately, before and after TN session, we haven't seen, except for perhaps Mr. Michael Lyngdoh, who came in during early 2000, came there and who took forward the legacy of Mr. TN Seshan. We don't remember any further election commissioner, chief election commissioner, getting highlighted for positive reasons. So with me, I have today Mr. Nixon Fernando, a scholar of repute. He is the former lecturer at Great Lakes Institute of Management, Chennai, and former research associate with the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, late Mr. TN Seshan. Mr. Fernando also co-authored a book with Mr. Seshan on leadership called Yoga Thwa. Welcome, Mr. Nixon, to this interactive session with Uncovering India. So,
Thank you, Sashwat.
without further ado, I would like you to give your thoughts on what is happening around us. You have been there with Mr. TN Session for a long time, and his name is like a legend in when we talk about elections in India and the role of election commission. So why is that, barring a couple of chief election commissioners after Mr. TN Session, we have not heard anything positive about chief election commissioners and the role of election commission in India as far as neutrality is concerned?
It's very interesting, Mr. Ray, that you have made this comment about non-positive outcomes of the election commission after Mr. TN Seshan. And I think the Supreme Court should take note of this comment that you have just made. Why? Because a very significant thing happened in 1995, somewhere in middle 1995, where the Supreme Court said, yes, indeed, the three election commissioners are equal. So when they passed that order and three of them became equal, it's a very strange order. We'll go into that a little later, maybe, as to what is wrong about that. But what is wrong, what is wrong about it. But at least the Supreme Court should look into what has happened ever since that five-judge bench gave this, even the review petition, they declined it. And what has happened to the Election Commission after that? The Supreme Court should say, okay, we passed the judgment, and now let's review 30 years on what has happened. Has it really been effective what we have done, or then have we made a mistake? The Supreme Court. See, the Supreme Court, like for example, Judge Matthews, if I'm not mistaken, about he is already retired. Recently, he took up the case of what is wrong with the Election Commission, and the direction in which they were arguing was, how can you choose somebody, you appoint someone who the Prime Minister likes, and so on, so, and you know the history, what happened after that. Um, so they were focused on the appointment part. Something is wrong with the way they're being appointed, and once they're appointed, then they are what you call as doing all what is not required in the Election Commission, or they're favoring the Prime Minister. But the point is, we should look into why is it happening. Why in the case of Mr. Session, he said, no, I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'll do what is right according to the Constitution. That was Mr. Session. He stood up for his dharma of the Election Commission, and he said, no, it has to be free and fair. And what is supposed to be free and fair, and for the sake of it being free and fair, I will do what is required. This was Mr. Sessions' point of view. But now it is not happening. And now what you need to do is to look in this 30 years, look back in 30 years, has the decision been good? Is there something wrong with this, or do we have to review it? You have to look at it. And when you look at, instead of looking at what the judge was looking at, the appointment side, you should look in the functioning side. Have we done something, as the Supreme Court done something by which the functioning is not happening? And the truth of the matter is, yes, indeed. It's like the hands of the chief election commissioner is generally tied up, and there is some kind of dynamics that has been set into motion, which in fact, even the experts have said, even they analyzed at that time, and experts continue to say that the executive has got control over the election commission. So your take is right in the sense that there is something wrong with it, and the answer for it lies with the Supreme Court in the judgment that they passed in 1995 on equating three election commissioners. And I think the solution for the problem lies there.
But isn't appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner directly linked with the performance of the Election Commission of India? If you remember that when the Supreme Court passed an order that the selection panel for the Chief Election Commissioner would involve the leader of the opposition, the Prime Minister, and the Chief Justice. And immediately the center brought in an ordinance in which the judgment was overruled and Chief Justice was excluded from the panel, and a member of the ruling party was brought in. So in a way, now we have 2:1, where two members are from the ruling party and one from the opposition. So there is no neutrality involved. So with the
No,
government dictating the terms as far as selection of the chief election commissioner itself is concerned. So can we expect any kind of neutrality from the election commission?
okay. See, the thing is, Mr. Sessions' appointment itself defies this logic. See, for example, Mr. Session was appointed by the people who were favorable to the Congress or the Congress themselves. But once he was in the seat, and once he said that, okay, this seat tells me, the Constitution tells me to do this, and this is what the nation requires, then he stood up to that. He said, according to the Constitution, I am responsible for ensuring free and fair elections, and for that I will do whatever it takes. So it doesn't matter whether it was Mr. Chandrasekhar who appointed me, or Mr. Subramaniam Swamy helped in getting me appointed, or whether it was the Congress backing, or Mr. Rahul, Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, who was there in the background. He was a big figure at that time, but he was in the background. And whether his influence it was by which he got appointed, it doesn't matter. But when he sat on the seat, then he had to do his duty according to his what his conscience told him, and he did it to the best of his ability. What is happening now in the present situation is that, okay, you have appointed somebody. That person who is appointed actually he doesn't have that freedom to operate like Mr. Session had, or in the other sense that there is something about that whole arrangement which makes it a little what you call as not easy for the Chief Election Commissioner to function the way it should. So Chief Election Commissioner, he is with the ECs. Now, when you talk about it, we call it as EC. We don't say Chief Election Commissioner. They have to hold the whole of the Election Commission responsible, and the whole of there is no way you can hold them responsible properly, and because there is a small mix-up in what they have arranged. So there are two sides to look at. One is the person who is appointed. Second is, once he's appointed, the way he is supposed to function. And the point is this, that appointment, irrespective of how he is made, you can ask him to function in a particular way. You can make him accountable, saying that, see, the law says this. Why aren't you saying? For example, Mr. Rahul Gandhi says that, see, this is what is a truth. The law is saying this, and what are you doing here? And the people, the reply that is coming from the other side, it is coming from that confusion that is created by the Supreme Court. So if once you analyze and see what is the significance of this, then you see that, okay, appointment is one factor by which you get somebody into that position, but also that person, whether he's having can function freely first. Second, if he functions wrong, can he be checked? Those things have to be looked into again, because whatever was the scheme that was given by the constitution as to how election commissioner or the chief election commissioner has to stick to the rules, who are the ones, how he is supposed to be accountable to the parliament, just as a Supreme Court judge is accountable to the parliament. So now this arrangement, which is there in the which is there presently, that is not allowing the election commissioner to function, and we can't even hold him responsible for what he does. That is the most tragic part of the whole thing. And therefore, appointing, yes, it does matter, but more important is that you are not allowing him to function the way he can function, the way he can be held accountable. And that is where the real problem lies. And the ball for this lies in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, of course, now it has to take so much and say, okay, we passed a decision so and so years back. Now let us look at it. We'll see whether this is according to the Constitution. Is it doing well, or should we have to review it? This is so. Yes, what you say matters, but this is very important for the autonomy of the Election Commission, which is a stated goal of the people who drafted the Constitution. So has autonomy, so you have to review, has autonomy really been forwarded? Has autonomy really been improved when we made three people equal uh, election commissioners of India? So, so that is my take on it. Both matter. What you say, yes, it does matter. Appointment does matter, but functionality and ability to hold him responsible, him being answerable to his conscience, all these things come are also important. So both sides have to be seen.
But then what prevents a appointee to a constitutional body like an Election Commission of India, which is officially supposed to be an autonomous body, to actually work autonomously? Because we know none of the government bodies or the quasi-government bodies are in way autonomous on ground. It is the man sitting on the chair who has actually made it look autonomous, like Mr. TN Seshan or Mr. James Michael Lyngdoh, who came after him. We haven't seen any more names after, barring a couple of names beyond them, who have actually hold on to their ground and said, "Was it is an independent body on according to the constitution, and we have to function like an independent body." without taking into account any sort of government pressure whatsoever. So I'm sure Mr. TN Seshan also had his own share of pressures, pulls and pressures from the government. Yet he made it a point, and he had made quite a few enemies in the political establishment when he went full throttle against loudspeakers and your security in election booths and verification of electoral rolls and everything. He brought in the electoral I-card system, voter I-card system in a big way. So there are so many things that he had done. What prevents his successors to follow his path? I'm sure the governments are no friendlier then and compared to now. So what made him stand to his ground, and what is preventing his successors to emulate him?
Okay, the answer for that is in this one, in the way this the three member body functions. Now, let me tell you a small kind of a story which will help you understand what was the thing that happened in 1995 at the end of Mr. T N Seshan's term at the past because of Supreme Court, because of which the balance was tilted against the Election Commission. Now, just imagine. So, you happen to be in Goa, and just imagine that there are some distributed villages. There are 5 villages, and there is going to be one bus serving all these five, no, 20 villages. This bus is going to serve these 20 villages. So one bus has been appointed for it, and there is a driver who's there. You also have a conductor. You also have a cleaner. Okay, so the bus driver is supposed to take a particular route through all these 10 villages and come back. But unnecessarily, we found that unnecessarily we are traveling long distances when there are a number of people going less. There are a lot of people going to one village, so you can go and come back. And through technology, now you can link everybody and you can find out how many people are there, how many people are there, and then you can go around and come. So to whichever place people are there, and you bring them. That is the logic under which he has to function. Now, who takes the decision? It is left to the driver. So driver, he parks the vehicle and he asks, okay, how many people going to X village? How many people going to Y village? Then he plans out, okay, let us go to this first, then that, and come. So wherever there is a dispute, one fellow says, I want to go early, another person, then the driver will sit and he'll take a decision. Okay, according to you, we'll go this, according to that. So every time he stops, he takes a decision saying that, okay, let us do this, and then he does what is required. So this is how the story was going. And then there were a lot of complaints against him saying that this fellow is doing whatever he wants, he's doing everything in random. So the board, which was sitting on top, what they decided was they said, okay, let us say the conductor and the what you call as the cleaner, those two will also sit next to him and then decide. So they will stop the vehicle, these three people will sit, and one will say that, okay, let us go to this. Then all three together will pass the order. Okay, let us say we will go here, and then according to their order, the decision of all the three of them, we will go this place or that place or whatever. We'll move the bus according to them. So it seems like it is okay, and the board passed an order. So all these three people are equal in taking decisions. So immediately, what did they do? Immediately, they made one seat for the driver. He's holding the drive. He's holding the what do you call a steering like that. Then they made another seat for the conductor. They made another seat for the what do you call as cleaner, and all of them are holding the steering. Okay, so all of them are holding the steering, and then if you look down, all are trying to put the leg on the accelerator, brake, and this, and now they are running the bus like that. So now the question is, what is this whole idea of making all of them equal? I said, see, there is the driving, actual driving is what you call as an executive function. And you sit down and take decision whether it to go like this or like that. That is a judicial decision. So Election Commission of India has both the duties. They have executive duties also. They have judicial duties also. So for judicial duties, you can take, you can discuss until the cows come home. You can say this is better, that is better, this, that, and finally and take a decision. You can do that. And the best part is whatever decision they take, it goes to also, it can be reviewed by the High Court, it can be reviewed by the Supreme Court. So there is a channel for that. So this is for judicial decision. But if you get three of them to hold the steering wheel and then drive, then they have to take a consensus every time when they have to turn here, they have to turn there. And that is exactly what has happened in the Election Commission right now. So Mr. Rahul, he comes up with all these things and he's standing in front of a bus and he's looking at it, three drivers, one is all three of them holding the steering wheel. What answer can he expect? And this is the thing created by Mr. Narasimha Rao's government some time back. I mean, his own party has done this. So what is now the thing is, he'd better move out of the way, because otherwise the bus will run over him. That is what is the state now. So he is trying to fight that situation where three people are sitting like that and doing. So if you see this imagery, then you see what the Supreme Court has actually done. It has said election commission, it has executive duties, it has judicial duties. As far as judicial duties says, all three people are equal decision, that is fine. But the executive functions, when you have the whole machinery of government of India under you for the time when elections are happening, when you have the whole machinery under you, when you have what you call as the votes, the voter lists and all being made, at that particular time, if three people are driving executive, then you see what is the mess that is being created at that time. And the Supreme Court should say, no, in this function, yes, equal. This here, no, this person equal. And the best part is this. Suppose, what does the Constitution say? The Constitution say that if the election commissioner made a mistake, say he has made a mistake, the election commissioner has, let us say he has done a crime. So he has raped someone. Let us say, no, I'm not at all sitting with any of this. But suppose he has that. Then you have the criminal law which will take care of him. That is okay. But suppose he does something in the election commission related to elections which is not right, then just like how a Supreme Court judge can be taken by account and finally Parliament by two-thirds majority votes that this person has to be removed from office. In the same way, Chief Election Commissioner can also be removed from office in the same way. So he can be removed. But now if you say, why did you take the decision? You say, I didn't take, these other two people took the decision. So how can you hold him accountable for the decision taken by three people? So all are responsible means nobody is responsible. It has come down to that. So executive functions, as far as executive functions go, it has to be reverted to the election commission is my personal point of view. I mean, it's my view, and it makes sense also, because if you say, oh, election commissioner has great amount of power, he can do so many things, therefore let us make three people equal, then the prime minister for the whole of 5 years, he has so much of power. He has so much of money under him. He has so much of this under him. Then what? You should put five people to run the prime minister, run the nation run the nation. That is also an executive function, but he doesn't have any judicial functions. That is there. But he is an executive. If you give him five, if there are five drivers sitting around that this one, how do you run the country? So the system is arranged in such a way that okay, the prime minister is responsible. He runs. In the same way, the chief election commissioner has to be responsible for the executive part. You can't make two people equal and say that. And actually, what they have arranged is like this. That was a good thing that Mr. Seshan did immediately. That suppose your election commission, the chief election commissioner has passed an order. So what does he do? He writes an order, then he passes it to the first EC. The EC sees it and he makes some changes. Then it goes to the next election commissioner. He sees it, he makes some changes, and it comes back to this one. He sees, okay, it's fine. And he says, doesn't no change. It goes there. That person says, no, let us change this. So once it goes to all three persons without changes, then it goes down, saying that see, this is the order of the election commission. That is the arrangement that they have made, so that there is no need of taking what you call as the majority decision. So this file keeps passing around, and then it goes to that is how it was arranged in Mr. Session's time. But you see, this whole an executive function is happening at the same time you are passing on files. So Mr. Rao has brought up what you call as a thing before them. Then the chief election committee, yes, he is talking, but he is sitting blank because he doesn't know what other people have to say. They have to sit, they have to discuss, and they have to come to a conclusion, and then they have to speak back. And one of the best way to say is, okay, now you give it an affidavit in writing and all those things he has said. So that's the easiest way out. So why? Because he himself is powerless. He is holding the steering, and there are two other people who are also holding the steering. So that is the whole the mess that has been created there. And and as far as solution of this is, okay, executive functions, take them out. Let the chief election commissioner hold. Then the parliament can hold him. He has made a mistake according to the law. according to election, he is not supposed to do this, then he can be checked. He can be say, okay, this is his error. Then you can put it in the parliament. There's a process. You go first goes through judges, then it goes to the parliament, and then the parliament says by two-third majority, yes, he has made a mistake. Then he gets impeached.
So,
This is
so
the process
basically,
by
you
which it
want to
is.
say
So you
that
can hold him
so
accountable
basically you want
for
to say
his
that
mistake.
the situation should revert back to pre 1995 situation where the CEC was the sole authority to decide about the way the ECI would function. So that you
Yes,
think is the
absolutely.
solution.
Yes, it's very important. See, you want when the constitution was made, you just imagine. Suppose the election body comes under the government. Mr. Seshan will say, "I am not Chief Election Commissioner, Government of India. I am Chief Election Commissioner, not Government of India." Because if you come under the government of India, that means you come under the Prime Minister. Then the Prime Minister can say, "You do this, you do that." He will get elected. He will keep getting elected. He can do whatever he wants and get himself elected. So they did not want that. The Constituent Assembly did not want that. And they said, okay, let us make it autonomous. Let this one. And you see the cartoons in the beginning of Mr. Sessions' tenure, he used to be a small cartoon, he used to be along same as everybody else. But there was one cartoon finally, it was like all the Supreme Court judges are there, and along with the Supreme Court judges, another one tall figure is sitting there and handling affair. So he was his tenure, he showed that the original plan of the constitution was to have an autonomous body. That is, it has to run elections was his job. Once the elections over, no, he has nothing to do. But for the elections, whatever has to done, he has full control of it. This is what they wanted to do. But the question is, did the judgment allow that? And the answer is no. See, for why? See, you have two additional election commissioners. Now, what are these two additional election commissioners? One of them want to become the chief election commissioner next. He wants to get appointed as the chief election commissioner next. Or if not them, somebody else will apply. So these two people in all the decisions, they have to ensure that they favor the prime minister or the ruling party. If they favor the ruling party in their decision, then they can ensure that they can be appointed as election commissioners in the next role. So when this is the kind of arrangement that is there, the chief election commissioner, he cannot go by his conscience. He has to go by a consensus between all three of them, in which those people want to do what the prime minister of the nation want. They will not go by their consciousness or whatever. They're also looking for their future. So if they have been
But
doing
sir,
that,
even in
no,
the
that is
current
good for
arrangement,
one
even
more.
if you look at the current arrangement, okay, conscience, they're not their autonomy fully, they're not there, but there can be a certain degree of responsibility, right? When the opposition is charging the election commission of not doing its duty properly as far as conducting a free and fair election is concerned, especially with the revision of electoral rolls. Now, one of the contention is why the revision of the electoral rolls was done so near to the elections in Bihar, and how the electoral rolls, the voter list was found so-called fudged in Bangalore Assembly constituency by Mr. Rahul Gandhi. So in this scenario, what the contention of the opposition is, we are not getting a convincing reply from the election commission. Instead of
Exactly.
saying that, okay, we will look into it and we'll try to find what are the anomalies, you can accept or reject the charges. But saying that the LOP has leader of the opposition has to file an affidavit and then have to apologize in 7 days is sounding like a typical politician, leader of the ruling party taking a press conference. So, does that augur well for a person of that repute to speak in that language? Is that a mere, you can say, brushing away or washing your hands off the responsibility that a chief election commissioner has to do?
See, the point is, as a civilization, we believe in this concept of dharma. Dharma, in the sense that a kshatriya he will do his dharma. Or we are as executives, as teachers, as doctors, as lawyers, we are supposed to do our dharma. So this person who's sitting there as the chief election commissioner, he is also expected to do his dharma. So dharma, what is his dharma? His dharma is that in this democracy, election is a very important part, and it should be as fair as possible, as fair as he can possibly make it. That is what his. So if he has his conscience and he says, yes, I am going to do this duty to the best of my ability, the question is, can he do it? The question is, can he do it? No, will he do it is a different thing, but can he do it? And the answer is no, not necessarily. He will try. He can do his best to do it, but there are another two people who fall into the picture, and these three together as a team, they have to do what is right. And now, so what? So you have not only one person, his adherence to dharma, whether he wants to do the constitutional dharma or he wants to favor the prime minister, he has to take that decision. And there are other two people also who have to take that decision, whether they are consent, and the other two people cannot be taken into account at all. That is, I mean, they cannot be charged in the what parliament. For example, if let us say Rahul Gandhi. Suddenly, for some reason, Modi's government is out. Rahul Gandhi has suddenly come as prime minister, and you have half of BJP. They have broken away from BJP, which will never happen. But suppose half of BJP broken and they have come and they have got three-fourth majority in the parliament. Let us imagine that situation. Now, when three-fourth majority there, now he go and tell this chief election commissioner, according to this one, you are supposed to be impeached. Why? Because this decision is supposed to take, you did not take that decision. Can he do it? That is the question. And the answer is no, he can't. Because he will say, what can I do? See, there are other three people, there are other two people sitting. It's a decision we have all made together. You cannot impeach me for a decision which three people have made together. So what you say is true. That is, a person can be very pro-inclined to a particular party, and he's doing that. But he has to stand for a particular dharma, which maybe he is not standing for, because he thinks that his dharma is that he has to stand for the prime minister, whatever the prime minister says. Maybe he thinks that way, and he's doing that, and he can't be held accountable. So you see that mess that is being created in that particular place in this one. If he is alone, he has to take decision, then he is accountable. Then he says, yes, I was supposed to take a decision, I have not taken it. Then you can pin it on him. But now you have to pin it on three people. Those two people who are sitting there, they are not talking actually. They are also sitting there, they are not talking. But they are equally responsible as this person. So this person has to do bravado and tell whatever he has to say in the front of the mic, and he is doing it. And if his inclination is that way, we know that from where he comes. So if this inclination is that way, then he is going to favor the ruling party. So I am saying this whole mess has been created by the Congress themselves.
So, sir, from our discussion, what we have concluded till now is three things. The root of the malice that we see goes back to 1995 when Narasimha Rao government clipped the wings of the election commissioner, chief election commissioner, and made the two election commissioners equally accountable, oblique powerful as the chief election commissioner, thus diluting the power of the chief election commissioner. It must have surely felt threatened by the growing popularity of Mr. Seshan that time. Now, ironically, the same Congress government is at the receiving end of its the thing that it did for its own advantage, for its personal gains, and now its vested interest is now costing them dearly. Now, but the situation is that whosoever comes to power, irrespective, even I'm sure if tomorrow Rahul Gandhi becomes prime minister, because all the opposition parties, when they come to power, when they are in opposition, all the political parties behave, they are the saints. And when they come to power, they lose their mind. So I don't suppose a tiger changes its stripes. So when Rahul Gandhi, for example, if tomorrow comes to power, I'm sure he will also like to take the similar advantage of the diluted powers of the chief election commissioner. Now the question is, once the tiger has tasted the blood of the human blood, he will not go to any other carnivore. He will turn into a man eater. So now, when the politicians, the political parties in power have turned metaphorically your manitors by tasting the blood of diluted powers of Chief Election Commissioner. Do you really think that they will even think of reverting to the pre 1995 situation? And if realistically, which I don't see happening, then what is the way forward to deal with this malice? Because when you are talking about the integrity and personal your morality of the person in power, person on the chair, that doesn't seem to be happening. So where does this whole thing lead up to?
Well, at the outset, I wouldn't give so bleak a picture. I'd like to believe that there will be something like maybe Lal Bahadur Shastri. We will have somebody, some leadership that will be of that caliber, which will conscientious, and let's hope that there will be something like that. That is what my belief is, and if that happens, great for our nation. But is there anybody in the spectrum? Mr. Seshan is to say, I don't see any tall figures, I don't see any titans in the world of politics or in any sphere. In fact, I can see titans only in the field of watches. That is what Mr. Seshan is to say. So maybe this is the presentation as now doesn't look that great, but maybe let's keep a hope that maybe there'll be some leader who will come, like Lee Kuan Yew, who will come to India, and then maybe he'll set a lot of things right. We can hope that. But apart from that, the real mess. See, the Parliament did not have the powers to amend the constitution, so they passed an order, and that all these three were equal. And what you call as Parliament has the power to amend the constitution, but they couldn't get away with doing that in this case. And um, uh, even though they don't have the power, they passed an order, and that order went to the Supreme Court, and it is the Supreme Court who has made them made, yes, they are all equal. So even though the politicians may not want to make them, I mean, if they get into power, they do not want to remove this arrangement. The Supreme Court can still review it and say, no, no, that decision was not right. It is not constitutional. It has not even done a great job in these many years. So we can take it out. Once that happens, then it revert to the original position, and then they have to start struggling again. Maybe they have to go for a constitutional amendment to get that kind of arrangement as three equal election commissioners. So that is on that side of things. But let me look at it this way. Like once upon a time, there was Mr. Session was in this position. The Supreme Court had passed this order, and then he wanted to see whether I should continue as the election commissioner or I just step down, saying that, say, I in protest, saying that what the government and the Supreme Court has done is not what the nation wants, or what is good for the democracy. Should I resign? That's what. And then he was meeting people, and one person he met was the pontiff of the Sharada Mutt in Karnataka. He met him, and he said something which was taken verbatim from out of the Ramayana. And it says that the translation goes like this. It says, the dharma that you protect will protect you. This was a statement made by Lord Rama's mother when Lord Rama was going on his what you call as vanvas, and she told him, "I don't have any gift to you except this, that the dharma that you protect will protect you." And he said this to Mr. Seshan, and Mr. Seshan said, with that he took a decision. Yes, okay. So he took a decision to continue, and then we have this file passing arrangement and all, and this arrangement has done service in good way, in the sense that all the things that he pulled out of what was, I mean, was nearly going down into kind of horrible state of affairs. For example, you have 100 horse riders. There is a report like this. The 100 horse riders, they are riding, they go to one booth, they chase away everybody, and then they stamp all the this one, uh, uh, put it into the box, and then they ride to the next booth. So this kind of things happened. I don't know, UP or BR, one of these places, and the reports are there of this happening. So if that had continued, we would have been a banana republic. There's no doubt about it. But he was able to pull that out, and the subsequent election commissions, including the two election commissioners who were there with Mr. Seshan, and the subsequent election commissions of India, were able to protect all those things that he had pulled out. And there were compromises, as you pointed out. I mean, there were compromises, but they were able to hold on something. And even now, we look back to that those golden days of what all he has done, and a lot of additions have also been done. So, in that sense, with whatever is there, they have tried to move in that direction. But if the Supreme Court reverts this, then we would definitely have. So the Supreme Court, I would say like this: let the Supreme Court do its dharma. The lawyers, the constitutional experts, the judges, if they perform their dharma in for the democratic Indian nation, and definitely we may have an autonomous election commission which can be made accountable. This is one thing. If, on the other hand, there's the present right-wing government, it wants to stand for dharma, okay, stand now. We don't have a Raj Dharma here. I mean, we don't have a king dharma. We have a democratic dharma. And a democratic dharma, elections have to be autonomous and important. If the present really believes in that principle of dharma, then what they need to do is they need to pass this order saying that according to the constitution, these people will not be equal. There will be only one person, and he'll be accountable. So they can do that. So there, but it is finally left to the citizens of India. You are watching. The Supreme Court has made three drivers sit together and drive one thing, and you have to find out which of the political parties will really support removal of this and reverting to the original position and vote them into power. This is what the people have to do if they want to protect their nation and the what do you call as their democracy. And it's a very priceless thing, the democracy that we have, the kind of freedom that we have. Before independence, you couldn't be this free. Now also a lot of people do not enjoy that freedom that then a free nation can give. But we have the scope for it. We have the opportunity for it. There's a time now to get all the other freedoms like Gandhiji had asked during independence. The time is good, and the time is now. And at that time, we need election commission that is autonomous, that stands for free and fair elections. And for that, whichever political party stands up for it and does what is required for it, people should vote them into power. This is one duty, one dharma that a citizen has to do in his voting for the welfare of the nation. I think I cannot offer a better solution than that. What the
Thank you,
future
sir.
holds
Thank you
for
for
us.
your thoughtful insights. And we surely don't know whether we will have a bureaucracy or a legislature that will be following the so-called dharma, because once when after the Gujarat massacre, when uh, Prime Minister Vajpayee was asked about his opinion about retaining current Prime Minister Modi, who was then the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Vajpayee famously said that he needs to follow Raj Dharma, follow his dharma. Now, who is following dharma and who is not, that's an open debate for everyone to know. But we are not living in an ideal world. But we can only hope that the the actual esteem, the prestige of the Chief Election Commissioner's office is actually redeemed, because when we boast our country being the largest democracy in the world, the democracy should not remain a farce, should not remain on paper. Rather, it should actually, in its performance, show that through free and fair elections, conducted in a wide country like ours with a huge world's greatest electorate, largest electorate, we can do it in a free and fair manner with nobody having any complaints whatsoever of misgivings. Although there could be some uh, shortcomings here and there, but we can only hope that they are not too grave to impact the outcome of an election which is as tightly contested as in our country.